It's a chance.
How you doing?
Oh my God, we're wearing the same color.
Yeah, I got the memo this morning. I'm like, no, I woke up thinking, what could I wear? What in the world would Isabel?
That's so crazy. I have to say now, I've only had this happen one other time when I was talking to Maxim Mironov.
Yeah,
Because we also wore the same kind of color. And this is total accident. And you and me
yeah,
both. It is like a complete accident. This is so funny.
yeah. I think it's vibe and it's like being connected in some type of way. I think that's what's happening. So
I think so too. I guess all I can say is I have great connections with the tenors that I've sung with. What can I say? What can I say?
It's a special skill you have. There
I
you
know.
go.
What can I say? So how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm surviving. We're all getting to this used to this new normal, and I'm fine. I'm here with my family, and so that's good to uh, be in daddy mode. I'm in daddy mode a lot, and so that's been a lot of fun. But of course, as much as we travel, getting this chance to be at home for consecutive days doesn't come that often. So it's nice to be able um, to have that wake up in the morning and know that you're going to be there that night and wake up the next morning. That's good. But I've been busy, and just trying to take it all in stride.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Have you been adopting new like habits at home because you're home so much? Do you
New
know what I mean?
habits at home.
I mean, like, it's so rare for us to like
Yeah.
have this amount of concentrated time. I think.
Well, we've been baking. We've been baking, and we've been trying. I mean, of course, like everyone else, gaining weight. That's the thing that is so hard because it's just like you think if you cook 3 meals, you're gonna cook every time, and you just you don't think about leftovers. You're like I'm gonna eat all of this. All of this lasagna that I made today, it needs to be eaten today because tomorrow we have to make something new.
Yeah.
No,
Exactly.
for a while, I wasn't going out at all, but I've been going out recently, of course, with my mask on and trying to be as smart as I can about that. But for the most part, when you're in, and we were quarantined for probably about 14 days without going out,
Right.
that was hard because we were just eating, and so I've been trying to be more active. I cycle quite a bit.
Yeah.
But I went out last week and tried to play a little bit of tennis, and I hurt both my knee and my neck. So
Oh,
I'm kind of out of commission for a bit, but I'm
that's
trying to
That's so
involve myself.
frustrating. You
Yeah,
were always like so okay. So for everybody, Larry and I were just recently in Amsterdam. It's so crazy about this is that it feels now that it was so long ago.
hmm
But when I think about it, it was really the most recent opera thing in a way. That we were
yeah,
doing because we were in Amsterdam, late, like early, like November, December,
late to late
and
to late
and
December. Yeah,
yeah, till late, exactly, very late December, right up until the holidays. And you were always like, "Bye, I'm gonna play tennis. Bye, I'm gonna play tennis." Remember? And we were all like, "Larry, where are you going to play tennis?" He's like, "I don't know. It's like 45 minutes from here." We're like, "What?"
yeah, yeah. Tennis and or dancing salsa, right? Those are my two things.
Yes.
And for me, yeah, those for me, I like them because one, they're exercise, but it's also an outlet for me to be able to do something that is not being on the stage. I like the idea of going somewhere where you're not. Um, I'm okay in both of them, both tennis and salsa. But if someone considers you a professional, or if you want to say at a high level in what we do, it's nice to go and not be. It's nice to be just a run of the mill and just someone who just kind of blends into everyone else. And so I like to go take lessons with people to try to improve on my forehand and my backhand, and also with salsa. And so I like diving into those things and being a student again. I appreciate that.
I can imagine your salsa connections span all over the world in a way.
Yes, and the great thing about salsa is it really builds a network of friends around the world. For example, I'll be places, and I'll go to a city and I'll meet people. If I go back there, I usually have built-in friends. Or if I'm going to an apartment, I'll say, "Would you mind swinging by there? Is it close to where you live? Is it close to the salsa places?" And it gives you, as I said before, an outlet to be not a tourist, but you can kind of insert yourself into any culture. If you go to Amsterdam, and because I have 15 friends and they're like, okay, there's the Wednesday night salsa thing that everyone goes to, that gives
Yeah.
me something to do rather than just coming from home from rehearsal, or from, when we have our days off from the shows. we're sitting at home and watching Netflix, yeah, but I think that time would be better spent going to some nice restaurant because you know people who really live in the city. And so I have salsa friends all over the world, and I've gone to many salsa congresses. And those are like 3 or 4 day events where you dance pretty much from sun up to sundown. And I love it. I mean, I
sounds
live for that.
amazing.
It's incredible. I love it.
That sounds so much fun. Ah,
It's great. You know, I mean, I remember I think when we were in Amsterdam, I had about 3 days off. And so it coincidentally, there was a salsa congress in Warsaw, Poland. So I had those days off because we had like 4 days in between shows. And so I always try to go to a place that is somewhat landlocked, that if I need to get back by a train, I can get back. And so I went to Poland, and I probably saw 100 friends that I knew from over the years, from London, from Milan, from New York, San Francisco, because that's one of the biggest salsa congresses. But really, you eat together, you dance together. They have this afternoon social that is like in t-shirts and sweats, and people will sweat it out and just dance 4 hours nonstop, and your feet hurt like crazy.
so sore.
It's
Oh my
great.
God. So I have a fun question for you.
Yeah.
If you were to choose 3 of the characters that you have played to be quarantined with, who would those 3 characters be?
Oh my gosh. Nemorino.
Uh-huh.
I think he's easygoing. Everybody thinks he's a simpleton, but I don't think he's a simpleton. I think he's just someone who's just really sincere, easygoing, no frills, no gimmicks. And so I like that. Comfortable in his own skin, sincere. So he's someone I think I would like to be quarantined with. Obviously, Almaviva, because he's so versatile. Of course, playing all the roles that he plays. Playing all the roles that he plays, and he's just so fun. And of course, he gets the comic opportunity really in the end of Act One, and also in the beginning of Act Two during the lesson scene, which has been so fun in some of the times I've played it.
I love it. I've had such a joy of being able to obviously be on stage with you and like peek, because I'm waiting to go on stage during the beginning of Act Two, right? So I can like watch by the side of the curtain, and I like stand on the side of the curtain going.
Yeah, that's where. Oh gosh, yeah. And I love that role. And the last one would be the Count in Le Contori.
Okay.
For me, that's one of the people don't realize it, and I say it all the time. It is one of my most enjoyable operas that I've ever been in, the most enjoyable experiences I've ever had in my life on stage. The music is fantastic, and everybody thinks, okay, you have Barber and Cenerentola and Italian Girl. Those are all great, but Le Contori is from beginning to end, for me, sheer joy. So I love playing that. He's cunning, he's crafty, he's creative, he's bold. And so I guess those would be the 3 characters that I would like to be quarantined with.
I love that. That's a good answer. And it's amazing because everybody who answers the question, because I've asked it now a lot, everybody always finds like one person who would be quite practical in this situation, and who can offer some sort of service, whether they're a good cook or a doctor or whatever, and then somebody who would keep like spirits up, right? Somebody who's got a good mood and blah, blah, blah. And then the third one is already sort of like a wild card, depending on like
exactly.
I love it. I think it's really fun.
I guess Nemorino would be the even keeled one, and the rest of us would be crazy. But I think craziness in this time is okay.
Yeah, and I think you need a little balance of everything, and you need to have a dance party once a day, right?
Yeah.
So you need somebody that's going to be like, let's go, let's
go. Exactly.
So we have a few really interesting questions that had come in, but a lot of people actually wanted me to just tell you that they think you're wonderful.
Well, that's very sweet. But
so
I think you're wonderful.
That was really very nice. So there were a lot of people like, I'm just going to quickly say so that they know that I got their message, but Missguided, I love it. Missguided Girl 4, she had said, no, she says, please just tell him we think he's fantastic. Cyrano said, he's from France. He said, pas de questions, juste merci et bravo. I know. Bill Lozier, he said, no questions. He's like, what incredible range and articulation, better than Pavarotti.
Oh, that's very kind.
It's good. It's so good. And then somebody else, Anna also said she's from Ohio, And so is Larry. And she's like, I wanted to know if you missed anything from Ohio.
Oh gosh, I'm a proud son of the state of Ohio. Very, very proud. We always say OHIO. Big fan of the Ohio State Buckeyes. I'm a huge football fan, as you know, and so my mom and dad are there. And if I think about my just all of my musical experiences in the beginning before I started, studying classical voice, there was so much music. There was such a rich culture. So my family's there. All my memories of going through high school and show choir and regular choir and men's chorus and band, and it's just a lot. So I missed my friends, my musicians friends, and yeah, that's I miss home.
You should tell the story about how we are actually connected much further back than we realized with your teacher.
Oh yeah, so the teacher, I was like, how? Okay, you and I met probably. I think we met at when we did Chicago Symphony.
Yeah, we did
And
also
that was
meet.
the first
We did
time.
also meet a long time ago.
Yeah, yeah. She's young, Isabel is young, but we met a while ago. But my teacher, the interesting thing about her, I remember, I think is when we were singing at the Met, the Barber of Seville.
Yeah.
And I don't know when that was. When was that?
Oh boy.
Gosh.
I don't remember.
Oh, a long time ago. But I remember my teacher because I think it was going to be an HD broadcast. And my teacher was like, I saw you. She did see it. She said, I saw you on the HD broadcast. And there's a young lady by the name of Leonard. I think she may be the daughter of the guy who was the best man in my wedding. I was like, what? She was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. Ask her. And I think I wrote you in to say, was your dad, his name was this? And you were like, yeah. And I was like, well, my voice teacher told me that your dad was the best man in her and her husband's wedding. So isn't that like 1 degree of separation? But my teacher was a fantastic singer, way back in the day. And she's an incredible teacher, Costanza Cucaro. And her husband, Ed Penorwood, they were very, very close with your dad. And so I didn't know that. Isn't that crazy?
I think it's a fantastic thing. And so my dad was born in Toledo, Ohio. And my half brother who also lives out there, who's always like, "Go Buckeyes!" It's
Yeah.
there's
Bless him.
This great, yeah, this amazing, like you said, first degree of separation. But yeah, it was amazing. So when we got in touch, your teacher and me, she ended up sending me a picture.
Yeah.
From the wedding, and there's my dad looking young as ever and very much my dad. And it was also very heartwarming for me, of course, because my dad passed away when I was in college. And so to have this kind of crazy unknown connection all of a sudden to her, and in some ways through you, like it was just warm and fuzzy and all the good things, right?
I think it was emotional for her as well, because she thought someone that they cared obviously so much for, that was in their wedding, a witness, was somehow, merging these two worlds of you being the continuation of who that was. And so I think that meant a lot to her as well.
Yeah. Oh, how it's so lovely. It's so wonderful. And I love that we have that
Small
kind of
world.
This is why we're wearing pink. My dad would have worn a shirt just like yours. In fact, one of his favorite ones is like this. So it all comes full circle. Thank you, Dad.
Real men wear pink. Okay.
Heck yeah. Exactly. So speaking of real men that sing and wear pink, were you considering singing for us today?
I wasn't, but I will. But I will sing for you.
Yay!
Yeah. Oh gosh. I mean, but I'm gonna put this. There's a caveat here. I haven't been singing hardly at all.
Listen,
and so
right.
the cobwebs are in there, but Se il mio nome saper voi bramate, dal mio labbro il mio nome ascoltate. Io sono l'Inleri che fido ador. There you go.
I love it. I would have been like,
how many times have we done Barbara together?
Oh boy.
Is it once or more than once?
I don't know. Oh boy, I have no idea.
I know we did Cenerentola.
But I feel like we've done Barber. No. Wait, hang on. can you remember the production? So the key is like,
Okay.
remember the
Oh
productions. We've
gosh.
done it at the Met. We've done it at the Met together at least once for sure.
Yeah. We've done Cenerentola a few times,
we've
I
done
think.
Cenerentola, yeah.
We did it in Chicago, we did it in Amsterdam, and something else. We did Barbara at the Met. But did you do it in Baden-Baden? I don't think you did Baden-Baden.
No, I did not.
Baden-Baden. Barbara, it's a great show.
It's so fun. It's super. I can't speak today. It's super fun. I love the recits. I love all the conversations that they have because they can be really funny. When
the timing, and it's been the thing that's been one of the most important vehicles for me in my career. And the thing that you learn about playing the character Rosina, I think any of the characters, is that you have to have a certain amount of refinement. It just can't be super shtick. And when you can really nail it and just play, as one of my favorite stage directors ever, Moishe Leiser, who I adore, him and Patrice, he was just like, just play the situation. Stop trying to be funny. Play the situation for real. And so that's when I felt the most into this character and the most, I think, authentically Almaviva or Lindoro. And so, yeah.
100%. I've always found, especially with comedy, like slapstick is one thing, and that is a thing in and of itself.
Yeah.
And it can be used, right? But I think the best comedy, at least that I love, is the comedy that comes from those truthful situations. It's like listening to a really great comedian who uses the history of the world as their material for their comedy. So it's coming from not only truth, but it's coming from probably something that's quite serious.
A real place.
And there's the human error that makes it funny.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Oh, yes. And, people say that comedy is more difficult than, drama. Comedy, the timing and just, it's one of the things that I have tried to work on. And so I remember having a stage director telling me many years ago when I was in college, you have to figure out how to play the situation with your attributes. The way you look, the way you walk, your rhythm, all these other things, you have to understand the situation and use that to your benefit, And so I've always felt like, okay, I want to make sure that I'm not trying to be funny. And sometimes you lose that battle. Sometimes, I think the style of it is shtick, where you go all the way. And I think some people do shtick in a really fantastic way. That people are going over the top, but it's that magic that happens because the timing, again, works so well. So that's, you develop that as an actor and just being on stage.
Yeah, it's true. You just got to take it one rehearsal at a time. And also, you've probably noticed this too, because you travel obviously everywhere, that comedy is very different from country to country. And that people's sensibility and what they find funny in France, for example, is very different than the comedy they find funny in England and versus the United States. And so you could play, you could do the Rossini in all these different places, but you're actually going to alter once you really figure that out. You're going to alter the way your physical comedy is, perhaps, because everybody
absolutely.
It.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many places. I was having this conversation before. When you get a chance to do a long rehearsal period and you can kind of soak in the culture a little bit, the way we are. If I go to Texas and people are laughing, they're like, like falling out over themselves. In France, they don't do that. If you go to Italy, the comedy is a different, the way people react. Yes, you have these, as we call them, these gut busting moments that you have the tears coming down your eyes. And I think laughter is universal, but I think how people respond to certain things differs from place to place. And I always think it's a good idea, if you can, to be in that culture for a bit to try to understand it. So, I mean, you just can't. It's hard when, for example, you go to Vienna State Opera and you get 2 days and it's really like add water and stir. And sometimes it feels like everybody's just doing their own thing. And sometimes it's okay. Yeah, it's just like this guy's doing a classic production of Barbara Seville, and he's doing the most slapstick production of Barbara Seville you ever heard. And not that those things don't work, but when you've been on stage, and you could talk to this, when you've been on stage and you have that special chemistry with your colleagues that it's so like infectious, that is just the best for me, I think.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. 100%. 100%. It's so fun when you're really in sync with everybody.
Yeah.
And it just makes me, I love it. We've had so many good laughs. So many good laughs in shows and joking about like, you're not going to wear those shoes, are you? Like, Isabel,
Exactly.
can you wear a different pair of shoes? You know, or like, are you going to do that? I don't know. Was I? Maybe.
Right.
Should I? You know, and like being able to have that rapport. Or like the best thing for me is like, and I don't know if the audience can see this, but like, for example, when you and I were on stage together in Amsterdam, you know, and my God, it was like running a marathon and having to sing Rossini at the same time. Because
Oh gosh.
in case people didn't see it or didn't know, the stage had like 4 sets of risers, like just there was big risers that you could put set pieces on, and they were progressively higher. So the last one, I'm not kidding you, was like a flight of stairs, like an apartment flight of stairs, which I, of course, we all did. We all had to run up these stairs at some point, and then of course sing legato when you get to the top. So your heart's going like this, and you're like, you know,
Right, exactly.
trying to sing. But my favorite moment, I think, for us was in our duet in the beginning, and we're on the bottom risers, right? We're kind of, you know, I was here and you were here, and we're there and we're singing to the audience, and then we have to turn in and sing to each other, and then we have to brace ourselves on these risers because then they would also move in and out, and so they would go.
Oh yeah,
and so Larry and I would be standing there, and all of a sudden go. And we would like stare at each other and be like, I love you,
exactly.
I love you.
Exactly. Oh, that's part of the thing I love about live theater, because you know, even when we are trying to do our best professional job, and don't get me wrong, we're there to do as well as we can. But as you were speaking before, I thought about just keeping it light, and that's the way you can have the most enjoyable time on stage. So when I'm facing you and I'm actually supposed to have a serious moment, I'm talking under my breath. I'm like, did you see the guy in the first row who sleep? You know, or something like that.
All the time.
Yeah, you're like,
they should write a book on the conversations that you and I have while we're singing and while we're not singing.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, and I'm like, oh no, it's
you're like, oh crap, I forgot to turn on that beat. I'm like, yeah, you did. Then we just turn. But no one knows.
You were the best, right? Because I had to come in late for the rehearsal period, and so you guys had staged pretty much the whole show, actually. So and I was just kind of getting thrown in, which was great. And there was one scene towards the end that, you know, that whole thing.
Yeah.
And we all had to be like, you know, turn the head here, turn the head here, turn the head here. So for the first like 5 times we did this part, you'd always be like, turn now. Okay. And you're like, and then I would hear you go, come back. I'm like,
no one in the audience knew.
No, it was great. It was
no, you did great though, because when you didn't come that late, but we went through it pretty fast, and so the show, as you said, was pretty much staged when you got there, and you did a great job because you know the second cast, Cenerentola, did a lot of the staging, and so anytime you do that, sometimes it's weird because there's a weird dynamic because every person should have the opportunity to try to create the role, especially the person who's going to do opening nights. You know, she was great. She was great, and I think she was a wonderful, wonderful colleague as well. But when you think about the fact you came in and it was your show, you guys both had your own different Cenerentolas, and everybody should be a little bit different. So you did a fantastic job. But it was so funny because some of our other colleagues always miss the beats, and like always. And I'm like, if you don't turn on that note. No, it was fun. We had but the thing we had a great cast, and we all would like hang out and do. That doesn't happen all the time, you know.
It's true. We were very connected as a cast. We ate a lot of meals together. We laughed together. We really had a great time. That was a really great production.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
So okay. So lastly, because generally we could talk for hours, I think, but so I also know because of being, you know, hanging out with you in Amsterdam and in other productions, but Amsterdam sort of solidified this, that you and I are big crossword people.
Oh.
And so you guys, so like, you have to understand, like, we would be in rehearsal, and then if Larry wasn't needed and if I wasn't needed, which was generally rare for both of us, but if we weren't needed for whatever reason, the two of us would be off in one corner of the theater working on this iPad and working on the crossword.
Yeah.
And then they'd be like, Larry, Isabel, we'd be like, what's that? Okay, just one second.
We're like, what is that word?
Yeah.
But I think Laurent, he even got a kick out of the fact that we were working on these crossword puzzles because it became the thing that you, me, and Paulie, and it was something that we enjoyed doing. And so it was just a distraction. And one of the things I love crossword puzzles. The New York Times, of course, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And there were a couple people, it's interesting, a couple people that really got me onto crossword puzzles, and those were older gentlemen. One of them was a guy who I was my Wolf Trap host many years ago, and he used to do them in ink. First time, he wouldn't even play around, and I would sit at the table, and so I really became intrigued with him. And then my friend Holly, her grandfather would do them, and he was like 93. And so both of them said that it keeps dementia away, and it really, you go into the portals of your mind to search for information that you'll surprise yourself that you know some things. So that's why I love it.
See, and that brings me to the last point. We just like words, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But our mutual friend Weston told me a story yesterday, and you guys were playing Scrabble. He's like, you guys were sitting in the apartment together, like apart on the couch, Scrabbling each other on the phones. And apparently he was like, it was like his last play. He got like a real good word. He had only one tile left. He was sitting there, sure as can be that he was going to win. And he's sitting there and he's like waiting for your last play, waiting for you to do it. And he says, Larry then sends me some ridiculously long word for like hundreds of points. He's like, and on top of it, when he sent it totally quietly. He had no reaction on his face. And then that you waited, sorry, there are like spraying water on our windows. That you waited to react until you saw him see the word on his phone.
Weston, he's one of my best friends in the world, and so we were roommates. We knew each other from Indiana University, where we went to school together, and we both played. We knew each other because we were both, black musicians in the School of Music, but we also played basketball, and we played intramural basketball and stuff like that. So we had our network and connection there. But when he won the job, it was at the Met. He won the Metropolitan Opera audition, and I called him from the street in London before we had cell phones. I called him. I was like, man, congrats. I was like, let's move to New York together. So we became roommates. I was never there, but we lived in the place really, really close, fairly close to the Met. And so we would sit when I was there. We would play Scrabble and all kinds of other games. We loved it. But this game in particular, we were playing, and it was on a triple word, two ways, and I had one letter left, and it was an X. Weston was winning by about 47 points. So it was an A and an E there, and I need to, or an I, and I need to put that X on it. And so Weston knew he had it because he had like one letter left. I put the X down, and I knew that I scored like 57 points or something like that. And then Weston, he was so, I didn't say anything. I just played it, and I was like, when he read it, he was like, oh, man. I was on the ground laughing for like a half an hour. Oh my gosh. But that was just a wonderful memory we had. But he's killed me in a lot of games of Scrabble because he's one of those guys that he's great at everything he does. And so he's like, I'm going to read up about Scrabble and like destroy you. And no.
That is so Weston. That is so him. He's so excellent. Like, it's incredible. I like talking to him because I'm like, maybe it'll just rub off.
Right. Yeah. You're like, he's usually the smartest guy in the room, and no. But he's my guy. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, it's no surprise that you guys are good friends, obviously. I mean, aside from having lived together, but that's a great match of people. Larry, I appreciate it. It's so nice to talk to you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Hear stories and hear your voice. Thanks for singing for me.
No, of course. It was what it was.
It
wasn't
sounds fantastic.
my best.
Well, but listen, I know you, and I've heard you walk into the opera house and not warm up one bit, and then go into the dressing room and be like,
You're like, yeah.
I'll knock on the door, and I'll be like, really? Really?
Like it sounds like someone's stripping gears in there, right?
Oh, no. Stop it. No. I'll be like, how can you do that? when you just got here? How can you
Yeah.
do that when you just got
Yeah, exactly. You're crazy. But
Well,
yeah,
I love and adore you, and I can't wait to see you in person someday soon. And
yes,
please
this will
stay
be
safe.
over. You too.
Yeah,
Thank you, my dear.
yeah,
Kisses and
absolutely.
smooches and all that other
Much,
stuff. And
much love to your family.
yes, much love to you as well. You know,
Yeah,
someone has it coming. I'm not even saying who it is. Someone
I know.
has it coming.
Teo knows. He's looking at. He's going like this right now to me.
Teo, he knows what's about to happen.
Well, you've got another one to beat up in my household, so that's
Yeah,
totally
yeah,
fine by me.
yeah, yeah.
All right, my dear.
My
Please
dear.
stay safe and stay healthy.
Yep, you
Well,
too. Yep, much love to you, my dear.
you too as well. Thanks a lot.
Yep, take care.
Bye.
Bye.